It's time to talk sports, it's time for the show. When you hear this song on the radio, it's time to tune in, better act fast. Let me get that Potograph, Sports Talk Radio. Starting now.
Let's go! What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 124 and our 2021 NSCC National Coverage episode of Let Me Get That Potograph. As always, my name is the DH, or Drew, whatever. But we have a great show for you guys today. I am so excited, getting fully packed up and everything, ready for the National. Towards the end of today's show, we'll be talking a whole lot more about the National, but we have an awesome special guest joining us today. And they just so happen to be the charity sponsors of this year's National. That, of course, is Tim Virgilio from Signatures for Soldiers. He'll be stopping by a little bit later on to talk about, hey, this year's National, his wonderful cause, and a whole bunch more. So really looking forward to talking to him a little bit later today, but we're going to jump right in and start today's show with a little bit of hobby news coverage, as a couple of different things happened around the hobby world in the last week or so. Most notably, Joe Orlando stepping down at PSA. Joe Orlando gone. Nat Turner has assumed the position, so to speak, and he is now in charge. And Joe Orlando, who has been with PSA since 1999 and an integral part of making PSA what PSA has become, has stepped down. He is no longer there. And you know, when Nat and his company bought out PSA, we said on this show and a lot of others, you know, we expected Joe Orlando eventually would be gone. But when it didn't happen a good 6 months in, I figured he had some sort of deal where he would be working with them for a couple of years, or at least until he wanted to walk away. And maybe now's the time that he did want to walk away. His goodbye letter didn't really specify that, although it was a very well-written and very well-done goodbye letter. I thought it was wonderful, and he reached out to a lot of longtime customers and had conversations with them. It was... He did it the right way. Maybe this is the time he wanted to step away. We'll get on that in just a minute. But when it didn't happen right away and Nat didn't assume the role of CEO and everything, I didn't think it was going to happen for a while. And so it was a little shocking to see. And I thought Joe would at least, I thought it would be a gradual leave. I thought they would give him another different title, let him stay on for a little bit, kind of like Ken Golden and the relation to his company, you know, still being in PSA some capacity, but not maybe not holding that CEO role and then leaving. But Joe Orlando cut all ties. He's done. He's gone from PSA. And from everything that we've heard, Joe still plans on going to the National and being heavily involved in the hobby. And so, you know, he's going to be in high demand, and hopefully we can talk to him there for a little bit. But Joe Orlando gone, Nat Turner in at PSA. And, you know, I think it's a great thing for Joe and for PSA, because for PSA, I think it allows them to move forward fully with their new vision, which, let's face it, everything they've been doing so far, I think, has been wonderful. The Geniment software has obviously increased grading standards, and that's what everyone's complained about, and now people are complaining about their grades, myself included sometimes, but, you know, they're getting stricter with their grades. They're coming up with a system that, you know, more 10s are looking like all the same, more 9s are looking all the same, because that's how it should be. But, you know, they're doing a great job there. It allows them to fully implement their process, and Joe, I think this was done at a perfect time, because it's right before the National, if he plans on going to the National. Because there's no one in more high demand in the hobby right now than Joe Orlando. I mean, not Gary Vee, not anybody with consultation work, with any type of job whatsoever. His knowledge and his passion and just his experience in this industry is second to none right now in terms of who would you want to get to help you. I mean, Joe Orlando is it right now. And so, right before the biggest National ever, which we're going to talk about later, I mean, it's going to be a madhouse. Right before the biggest National ever, he makes himself fully available for whatever he wants to do next. Now, if I'm Joe, I sit back, relax, and, maybe answer some things that I couldn't answer before and just chill. But, knowing Joe, he's probably going to be getting so many offers that I expect we'll be seeing him around the hobby quite a bit, just no longer in PSA capacity. So we've got a change over at PSA, and, Topps earlier this year, they signed a deal and went public with Mudrick Capital, which will eventually be changed to Top here in a couple of months probably now. It's probably not too far away. Get those stocks. But Panini now, it looks like maybe getting bought out, maybe going public, who knows? But Alex Rodriguez, a group with Alex Rodriguez, he's trying to get into everything these days, including, if it was up to him, I think his group would probably try and buy 25 teams in an entire league and probably just purchase the entire league. But it seems like that he and his group are going after Panini and making offers to buy out Panini. Now, there's no word on how long and how deep these talks are. This could be as simple as, just a conversation that was overheard and leaked out of, hey, would you be open to selling? Something along those lines. But they're not looking to buy just Panini America. They're looking to buy Panini International, which includes the sticker company and everything, which people don't realize. Panini is much bigger than just Panini America. And Panini is worth a lot of money. The valuation they put on it, I can't remember exactly, but it was an exorbitant amount of money. And it's quite interesting, as we mentioned earlier, and we've mentioned multiple times on this show, this year you're going to see a domino effect of companies going public, getting bought out, ownership changing, some merging together, and you're seeing it all happen now. Geniment coming to PSA being bought out, Panini now getting these offers. Brian Gray has been on Hobby Hotline and on this show multiple times talking about how he gets offers every single week to buy out Leaf. There's so many different moving parts, and we're going to see a lot of this stuff shift, and you're going to see a lot of it shift after the National. Right after the National every year, there's always a ton of movement and a ton of stuff changing in the hobby, as some companies just don't want to do it beforehand. And so after this year's National, expect to see a lot of stuff as the National kind of kicks the hobby into gear for this second half of the year, which is always the strongest time in the hobby. And so you're going to see a lot more dominoes fall, but it looks like Panini may be in discussions to be bought out, and that obviously would probably take to bringing them public, which, just like with Topps, I see it as nothing but a good thing if the right people are in charge and the right people stay there. If Panini America were to change and Tracy Hackler and people like that weren't still involved, then I think it would be a colossal mistake, because I with a card company, especially a company like Panini that puts themselves out there publicly. Panini started a podcast. Tracy comes on this show. They sponsor Let Her Rip with us. They're very involved with the hobby and very involved personally in the hobby. You can't just replace that immediately and expect things to be the same, because no, they won't be. And they'd get a lot worse if you didn't have those people in place. So, that's the stuff that would concern me. But, a lot of people get concerned with, shareholders controlling the hobby, blah, blah, blah. I don't think it's as cut and dry as that. I think that's one of those, you just adapt and you move along with the hobby just like you do anything else, which is what we discussed on Hobby Hotline this past Saturday. But Panini has been offered to, apparently they're in discussions with Alex Rodriguez's group to possibly be bought out, which would, like I said, probably bring them public. So interesting times in the hobby. I'm sure that's going to be a very, very hot button issue and a hot topic at the National. And I would not be surprised to see some breaking news at the National. Some company using this platform. This is going to beat out 1991, I think, in Anaheim as, the National that's talked about forever. And so you could see some breaking news here at the National. I expect to see companies announcing a lot of stuff here at this upcoming National. And so maybe it's a lot deeper talks than we know. Maybe it's absolutely nothing, and maybe it's just a smokescreen, and maybe it was just them asking and inquiring like people are doing all the time. Because I guarantee you, Alex Rodriguez and his group, along with all these other groups, are going to be talking to multiple companies all the time. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, especially with Panini inking the deal with a licensing company for undergraduates. So now Panini's going to be able to produce undergraduate autographs, cards, and everything like that with a new agreement. So Panini getting yet another, not exclusive, but area to generate revenue that's going to be in incredible high demand. There's no better time than now to inquire about buying them, and it looks like they're getting some, at least an offer, but we'll see how serious it becomes later on. But y'all, now we're going to move on to a new segment. Obviously, it's been on the last few weeks, but it is now a permanent segment on the show, and that, of course, is Movers and Shakers. And this week, first off, we got to congratulate the Milwaukee Bucks. Congratulations, amazing championship, amazing finals. One of the most fun finals that I've seen in a long time. I loved that basketball. It was great. Even though I was pulling for the Suns, and the Suns shot themselves in the foot a million times with turnovers and just costly not adjusting at halftime, which was a weakness of theirs all year. It kind of stung for Chris Paul. Felt bad for him, but super happy for Giannis. And that's where it relates to Movers and Shakers, at least to start off this week. But once again, congratulations to the Milwaukee Bucks, your 2020 NBA champions. But Giannis on Movers and Shakers this week. Giannis cards, obviously skyrocketing right now. But I think this championship puts Giannis in very rare, very small company. And this is what was missing from his resume. And he put on one of the greatest finals performances ever. It's going to be one, at least in the stat area, it's going to be one that's going to be remembered forever. People might not remember this finals forever as one of the greatest of all time, even though of the last decade, I think it was one of the best, at least of this modern era of basketball. But, his performance was extraordinary. And his cards, they're going up like crazy, obviously. And eventually they're going to settle back down to a reasonable level. But I still think that's way too low. I think Giannis, once the hype of the NBA championship wears off a little bit and everyone's focused on football and baseball, that's where I think Giannis, no matter where it settles, is a buy. Right now, way too high. Obviously championship hype, people are jumping after it that normally wouldn't buy cards, etc. It happens all the time. But once that hype dies down, I still think Giannis is a buy. He's won a championship. He did it in Milwaukee the right way by building a team from scratch together through, not through trading for superstars, but building a team. And he got the one thing that was missing from an incredible resume, and a resume that's just going to continue. He's going to continue to probably win another regular season MVP. Probably he could easily win Defensive Player of the Year again if he wants to. The dude can do everything. And so he's not done winning these awards. And I think they're going to be right there next year to at least contend if they stay healthy. Giannis is somebody that I think he could end up, this may have been the turning point, and this may have been the point where it finally clicked in his head and he becomes that animal and that beast, and now he's got that experience, so he knows, and I hope that it brings out a little more killer instinct in him, which is what I've always thought was missing. But Giannis, as far as moving and shaking, Giannis right now, when his cards, flatten out a little bit and everyone's focused on football, bye, because he's not done racking up awards, and I think he is still very undervalued as people look at him as a little, a big man, and a lot of big men are insanely undervalued. Next up, over in baseball, Vlad Guerrero Jr. I don't understand it. His cards, they're finally starting to move a little bit, but Vlad Guerrero Jr. is one of the best in baseball right now. I know Ohtani is getting a ton of hype, and Ohtani's doing amazing things, but Vlad Guerrero Jr. is incredible. He's probably going to win MVP this year, AL MVP. This is a guy, he's got the name recognition, the bloodline, everything that you need for long-term value in the hobby. So I'm looking at his, maybe not base, if you're gonna go base, you have to go with either a heritage short print or his no number or his Topps Chrome. Those are the only base I would touch, unless your price range is a little bit lower. But if you're looking for bigger stuff, grab the colors right now. Grab chrome colors, grab some autos right now, because he is so undervalued for what is coming with Vlad. This is not a one season thing. He has gotten in shape. He's figured out how to do it. He's proving to you that he's lived up to all the hype that he had, which was a ton. He's living up to it now. He's going to continue to live up to it. Vlad Jr., I've been saying it since before the season started. He was a buy, but I didn't expect him to play this good. And now that he's playing this good, his cards are slowly starting to move, but they're going to keep moving as the season comes to a close and his numbers start to be seen as, wow, okay, this is insane. What he's doing is incredible. And so Vlad Jr. is definitely on my movers and shakers list this week. Next up, we've got a combo of guys. The combo of guys out in Cleveland, Colin Sexton and Darius Garland, with the Cavs having to decide whether to sign Sexton and have both him and Garland or trade Sexton. There's a lot of rumors of Sexton going to the Knicks. I think that's where he ends up going, because that's exactly who the Knicks need. If they can keep RJ Barrett, if they can keep Quickly, and they can keep that their core group together, then I see Sexton and the Knicks being a perfect fit. But Colin Sexton and Darius Garland are both buys right now. They're incredibly low because they've been injured, haven't been able to perform that much because they're in Cleveland with an awful team. But no matter what, whenever they decide to do, both of them are a buy in my opinion right now, especially Garland being so low, because he gets to take over, and I think he has more potential to be a team leader, as Sexton I think fits in as a perfect fit over in New York with the complementary guys he has with him. So I like both of these guys as a buy right now. They're incredibly cheap. They're Prism rookies. Go after some colors, grab some stuff. They are some guys that I think in 6 months' time, both of their cards are going to be in a position where they can both start to really, really get better, as I think Garland will have taken over for Cleveland, and Sexton for whatever new team he's on. I expect it to be the Knicks, like a lot of people do. I think the Knicks are going to throw the farm in terms of draft picks and a couple complimentary players like Obi Toppin probably at them, and that's probably going to be enough for the Cavs, because let's face it, it's Cleveland and it looks like they do want to get rid of him. So I think he's going to be with the Knicks. So Garland and Sexton right now, if you're looking to buy some cheap guys and keep them on the side for some potential, there's nobody better right now than Darius Garland and Colin Sexton. And last but not least on this week's edition of Movers and Shakers is, well, he was one of the hottest guys last year, and I would have told you to stay away because the prices are too high, but Joe Burrow, quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. He is so low. I'm looking at the prices of Trey Lance and Zach Wilson and all these new guys that are coming out, and everybody's on the 2021 train right now. This is the perfect time as people start to forget about last year's crop of athletes. That's exactly what's going on right now. Joe Burrow cards are very low. Now, some of his autos and obviously his very key cards, no, they're not low. They're up there. But I still think there's an incredible amount of room to grow. And I know you say, yeah, but it's the Bengals. This is a different Bengals team. The defense, they've gotten a lot better. I want to see how they play. I still think their defense is going to be their problem, but their offense is incredible, and Joe Burrow has some weapons, and if their draft picks pan out yet again, they've been knocking it out of the park in the last couple drafts. If their draft picks pan out this year, then Joe Burrow is set up for success like no other. And I love what I saw from him last year. I think he's the guy that takes the biggest second-year leap. Herbert, I think, is going to put up similar numbers to last year, better, but similar numbers, and the Chargers are probably going to be a better team. And so I think Herbert is, great, but his stuff is so expensive because he's one of the guys everyone's focused on, besides possibly Jordan Love, now that Aaron Rodgers has apparently decided that the ridiculously stupid offer that the Packers made him, the contract they knew he wouldn't sign, well, guess what? He didn't sign it, so he may actually be out of Green Bay, and I don't know, maybe out of football or on some other team by the end of the year. But Jordan Love's getting some attention, but Joe Burrow is getting heavily overlooked. And that's why I've got Joe Burrow on Movers and Shakers, because there's certain cards of his rated rookies, his rated rookie, optic, colors, things like that are incredibly cheap right now. You can get them very cheap. His Prism stuff, still pretty cheap outside of the super rare, super short print stuff, but a lot of very nice colored, numbered stuff, things like that. Go after them, grab them, because when this season starts, Joe Burrow, in my opinion, is going to have an incredibly great year. They have an incredibly tough division, but I still see Joe Burrow as a guy that's making highlight reels every week and putting up an insane amount of numbers. And quite frankly, I think the Bengals are going to be winning a lot of games this year. So Joe Burrow rounds out this week's movers and shakers. And I'd like to take a moment and give a special thanks to this week's sponsors of Movers and Shakers, and that, of course, is 3 Stripe Cards, the UK-based online hobby shop and breaker that's aiming to bring affordable US card collecting and United States products to the UK. With over 30 years experience as collectors within the hobby, these guys know what they're doing and have an incredible reputation in both the United Kingdom and the United States, which a lot of people here in the States may not know. It's very hard to get product overseas, especially in England. That's why Topps made their UK set last year. Hopefully they make some more of those sets so places like 3 Stripe Cards don't have as big of a problem. But 30 years experience of great connection with the United States, 3stripecards.com, aiming to bring affordable US card collecting to the UK. So if you're interested and you're listening and you happen to be from overseas, mate, then go to www.3stripecards.com for more information. And once again, I'd like to thank Tim Virgilio from Signatures for Soldiers for dropping in. Always a pleasure talking to Tim. As we talked about during the interview, our very first nationals were both the same. Stu and I spent a lot of time with Tim at that national, and we've maintained a very, very great relationship and have done a lot of stuff with Signatures for Soldiers and hope to continue to do a whole lot more. But really amazed and really happy for Tim and Signatures for Soldiers. Congratulations on becoming the official charity sponsors of this year's National Sports Collectors Convention. And speaking of the 2021 NSCC, guys, now we're going to, before we wrap up today's show, we are going to give you a rundown of everything going on. Let me get that Potograph and DH sports cards related, because, guys, this is going to be a national to remember. 1991 Anaheim is, kind of legendary in hobby lore. I know most people listening to this show weren't old enough to attend. I barely would have been. But 1991 in Anaheim was, supposedly the national, the big event. This is going to make that look like a regular Dallas show, with a good crowd. This is going to be extraordinary. What we are about to see is legendary. With the NIL signings, you're going to have people from ESPN, Forbes, everywhere covering this event. When Tim and I went to our very first national, we had a podcasters roundtable on the main stage, and Stu and I did interviews, to record later, to play later, but there weren't camera crews walking around from anywhere. Nowhere. No one had camera crews walking around except for, I think, maybe Golden Auctions might have done a little something. But you're going to see this year, you're going to see countless camera crews, you're going to see actual reporting done outside the venue. It's going to be like nothing you've ever seen before, especially at a card show. And if you ever have any doubt about the hobby right now, just watch what you're about to see, and watch what you're about to see once it's over, because the National this year, it's going to be a massive turning point in the hobby in the most positive way possible. But as I said, let me get that Potograph, DH Sports Cards, let it rip. We are jam-packed at the National. We will be setting up at a booth. That booth will be announced here shortly, and we'll be doing live interviews with various different people, some executives from some of the card companies, all the way down to, just some breakers, some people hanging out, some people just at the show, all types of different people. We'll be doing multiple live interviews at a location that I'll be announcing a little bit later. So you'll be able to catch us there at random times throughout the day. We're not really going to announce when that is, but we'll be doing the interviews, and they'll be either on the Let Me Get That Potograph recap show, or they'll be live streaming on one of the social media networks. So if you can attend, you'll be able to see a lot of this. And that's one thing I do want to make clear. If you can attend the National, all of this content that we are going to be doing, you will be able to watch it. You will be able to see it because it will be live streamed somewhere. Now, as far as the main stage, we were going to have two, but we decided to be nice and give one of our spots up. So now we have one main stage spot that is Sunday at 10 a.m. Chicago time, Central Time, so 11 o'clock Eastern Time. And we are going to be doing a special Let Me Get That Potograph / Letter Rip episode with Tracy Hackler from Panini joining the show and bringing a surprise box, who knows what. It's going to be awesome. So we have that main stage slot on Sunday, and then later on in the afternoon at 1 p.m. we have the Hobby Hotline for an hour. We will be going Hobby Hotline. A lot of the gang will be there. We'll be answering questions, obviously, from people in attendance, and, really recapping what's going to be an absolutely insane week. So those are the two main stage slots that we've got. And throughout the week, both online and at the show, make sure you find me. If you see me, come and find me, because I will be doing multiple giveaways, whether it be cards or walk-off submissions. One of our awesome sponsors has given us 4 packs of free submissions. So I'll be handing out free submissions to wherever you'd like during the show. Tons and tons of giveaways. So make sure you're paying paying attention both on social media and at the show. Come find me at the show. There's lots of giveaways that'll be happening both on stage, on the floor, everywhere. So a whole lot of stuff going on, as well as live and spontaneous episodes of Sports Cards content creators. Yes, I'm going to be, if I run into some buddies of mine that are fellow content creators, we might decide right then and there to go live and just do an episode real quick. So there will be multiple of those episodes, so make sure you're following on Instagram so you do have, a chance to be able to talk and a chance to be able to watch the show live and check out some stuff from the National. So all new episodes, Let Me Get That Potograph, Let Her Rip, and SCX3 all throughout the week. And in addition to that, I will also be hosting the Vintage Breaks Olympics. More information on that will come on Monday, but I am the official MC of the Vintage Breaks Olympics, and I may be doing some other stuff over there at the Vintage Breaks tables, so make sure you head on over and check that out as well. And in addition to that, we are also going to be filming a ton, as we are going to be producing a mini documentary. It's going to be, 15, maybe 30 minutes long or so, 15-30 minutes long, but it's going to be chronicling this entire National. So you'll see me with multiple different cameras in my hand, maybe someone following me with the camera, a lot of different stuff. So that's the National plan laid out in a gist. Some main stage action, a whole lot of live interviews where I'll be set up where you can come watch us, and you can watch us online. Tons of new episodes of Sports Card content creators. I'm talking a lot, guys. We're going to be hammering out tons of those live only on Instagram. Tons of giveaways. Main stage on Sunday, and then of course emceeing the Vintage Breaks Olympics, which happens twice every single day of the event, in the morning and at night. Really looking forward to that. And then of course the mini documentary that I will be putting out through DH Sports Cards and Entertainment, and Let Me Get That Potograph. So there's our National rundown, guys. It is going to be amazing, and that's just the scheduled stuff now. There's going to be a whole lot more, I'm sure, because every single year I schedule stuff and we end up doing 10 times more. But guys, it's going to be an incredible National, and if you're going, please hit me up. Send a message somewhere. I'll find it. I'm checking everything. I'm even getting back onto Twitter. I've been off Twitter for about a year now, basically for mental health reasons, but slowly getting back onto Twitter, so even checking the Twitter DMs now. So hit me up in any way, shape, or form if you were there, or if you see me, just run up and say, hey, what's up? I want to meet as many of you as I can, whether it be content creators, just listeners of the show, collectors, whoever it may be. I want to meet you guys because, like John Newman says, the hobby is the people, and at the National, we're going to have a lot of people, guys, and I want to meet a lot of you. But that's going to wrap up this week's episode of Let Me Get That Potograph. And of course, I'd like to thank our awesome sponsors, Vintage Breaks, 3 Stripe Sports Cards, Walk-Off Submissions, Doghouse Cards, Panini and Topps, of course, for Let Her Rip, and our official analytics partner of Let Her Rip, Card Ladder. Without y'all, we could not do this show. We could not do everything here, so thank y'all so much. It means the world to me. Everything is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger, and we have some incredible stuff lined up for you for the second half of this year. The National is just kicking it off. As you guys saw, Whatnot is coming. Much more on that, both on the socials and on upcoming episodes of the show. But guys, that's going to do it. So, until the National, keep ripping those packs, pulling those hits, and we'll talk to you in just a few days. Peace!